When you start out new in anything you try in life, it takes time to learn and develop, to move forward and grow. But sometimes it's just not that easy. There are 13 teams in the NBA today that have never won a championship, and if it's not because of personnel or management reasons, one way or another, a failure as a successful organization. And today I'm going to be discussing the top 10 best NBA franchises with no NBA rings. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to go ahead and smack that like button and subscribe to keep up with my videos. Now I'm going to start this list off with a couple of honorable mentions. The Clippers were founded in 1970, hasn't had any success in their existence. Honestly, one of the most cursed franchises ever. If you haven't seen Mike Korzemba's video on how Clippers are one of the most cursed NBA teams in history, check that out. Link in the description. That video is fire. They won their division twice back in 2013 and 2014, and they just haven't had any big names throughout their history. But names good enough to compete. Names such as Bill Walton, Bob McAdoo, Elton Brand, CP, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, JJ Redick, and Jamal Crawford. Hall of Fame coach and Doc Rivers couldn't help them out either. The time period of Lob City with CP, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan was their best chances of winning a championship, but they just couldn't beat through adversity in the playoff series that they simply should have won. Injuries and the lack of heart in the playoffs definitely hurt them. Today, they're back to being one of the top tier teams in the West, surprisingly with Tobias Harris, Gallinari, Lou Williams, and Harrell, but they still don't have enough pieces to compete. Orlando was founded in 1989, founded their first bit of success 3 years of their existence after winning the first overall pick in the 1992 NBA draft, selecting Hall of Famer Shaquille O'Neal from LSU and Penny Hardaway the following season, Horace Grant from the Chicago Bulls, and became the second fastest NBA team to advance to the NBA Finals. But Olajuwon was not having none of that, sweeping them and taking advantage of Michael Jordan not being in the finals. They had T-Mac, Grant Hill, Jameer Nelson, Mike Miller, then drafting another first overall pick in the 2004 NBA draft in Dwight Howard, who helped them go back to the NBA Finals in 2009, losing to who else but the Los Angeles Lakers, giving Kobe Bryant his 4th NBA ring. Ever since Dwight left, he's just been a shadow of himself with all these new injuries and leaving them back in 2012. They have Aaron Gordon, Fournier, and Mo Bamba, and Jonathan Isaac, I guess if you want to throw him in there. With a very confusing future in Orlando, I don't see any success for this team anytime soon. The Pacers were founded in 1967. The Pacers actually have 3 championships, but in the ABA, not the NBA, so they're on this list. Division champs 9 times, making it to the NBA Finals once behind Reggie Miller's dominance of play, but once again stopped by the wrath of Kobe and Shaq, stopping another Hall of Famer from obtaining a ring. Jermaine O'Neal and Danny Granger made the Pacers watchable again, but their teams were just never really good enough to compete. After Granger, Paul George blossomed into a superstar, becoming the main focus around the team's development and was a main part of their best supporting cast with George Hill, Lance Stevenson, Roy Hibbert, and David West. But they couldn't handle LeBron, Wade, and Bosh in Miami to move on. Now they're rebuilding around their new superstar piece in Victor Oladipo, but they have a long journey ahead of them back to the NBA Finals. Brooklyn was founded in 1967, originally located in New Jersey, where the team had their most success in 2002-2003 NBA season, going to the NBA Finals with the help of Jason Kidd, Kenyon Martin, and Richard Jefferson, losing to the Los Angeles Lakers and the Spurs respectively. Having a hard time returning ever since, they relocated to Brooklyn in 2013 and have been asked ever since, even with players like Vince Carter, Richard Jefferson, Kenyon Martin, Jason Kidd, Darren Williams. But it's just sad, man. They're just trash. Their best player now is D'Angelo Russell, and it's not looking good for them, man. They have no chance of competing for a championship anytime soon. Utah was founded in 1974, one of the many teams on this list because of the dominance of Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. The only time they went to the NBA Finals were in 97 and 98, playing Chicago both years. This organization has had Pistol Pete, John Stockton, Karl Malone, Jeff Hornacek, and Daniel Griffin. Now today they have Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, both great players with a lot of potential. Mitchell being a great player on his offensive success, and Gobert 2018's Defensive Player of the Year award. Joe Ingles is definitely a great role player for this team as well, but they're in the West, man, and they don't have the talent to compete. Not yet in the West, but they definitely have a bright future ahead of them. Memphis, formerly known as the Grindhouse, was founded in 1995, one of the teams that somehow make the playoffs, but then have one of the hardest paths to get to the NBA Finals. The fact that they don't have a history of big name players definitely hurts their chances of competing, with names like Rudy Gay, the Gasol brothers, Shane Battier, Mike Conley, Zach Randolph. They just have a history of early playoff exits, man, with teams like Golden State and San Antonio Spurs always knocking them out. They're looking pretty good this year in 2019, but the talent they have really don't have enough to compete in the Western Conference long term. It's a star-studded league, and they paid Mike Conley $30 million, which doesn't help their case. And there's guys out here saying that Mike Conley is not overrated and he deserves that bag. You guys stop it. Okay, stop it. Denver was founded in 1967, but joined the NBA in 76. Hasn't had much success, as you can figure out, since they're on this list, but their franchise has had a fair share of great players like Melo, Alex English, Mutombo, Allen Iverson, Chauncey Billups, and J.R. Smith, but only making the NBA Finals once in 1976, their first year in the NBA, and Western Conference Finals in 2009, when they had probably had their best team in their history, losing to the eventual champs in the Los Angeles Lakers, and haven't found success ever since. But today the Nuggets are actually one of the top tier competing teams in the West. Injuries are the only thing that is in their way of competing for a championship. OKC was founded in 1967, obtained a championship in 1979, but as the Seattle Supersonics, not as OKC, so they're on this list. They have been division champs 11 times. KD, Harden, Westbrook, and Ibaka were destined to be great together. Can you imagine all those players together today? They definitely would have won a championship by now. And as we all know, they're all still very impactful for their teams today. Back in 2012, 4 years after moving to OKC, they had their best season together, making it to the NBA Finals, beating out some very good competition in Kobe's Lakers and Duncan's Spurs, making it to the Finals to face off LeBron and the Miami Heat, giving LeBron his first and very well needed championship ring. Which leads us to the question today: what if OKC paid Harden what he deserved in 2013? The Raptors, also founded in 1995, Toronto has been one of the best teams in the NBA the last 5 years, but could never make it out as conference champs. Being crowned division champs 5 times, Vince Carter, the dunk legend, was one of the first milestone pieces to becoming a respectable team, but their non-success in the playoffs has resulted in NBA fans doubting if the Toronto has it in them to even win. They've had some notable players such as Vince Carter, T-Mac, Chris Bosh, Jonas Valanciunas, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, and of course Kawhi Leonard. But now that they have their best team that they've ever had in their history, they need to capitalize the season. With Boston struggling and them being one of the best teams in the NBA, this has to be the year, especially to influence Kawhi Leonard to sign there long term. The Timberwolves was founded in 1989, never has had enough talent on their team to compete for a championship. KG, Kevin Love, Andrew Wiggins, and Karl Anthony Towns, pretty good players, winning the division once in their franchise history back in 2004, advancing to the Western Conference Finals, losing to who other than the Los Angeles Lakers. The same season, we seen KG win their franchise-only MVP award, averaging 24, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists a game. And Kevin Love was a beast before he got to the Cavs, man, but wasn't good enough alone to carry his team anywhere but put crazy stats up. And now it's Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns' team, but Andrew has disappointed all his fans coming into the league. People are running out of patience with him. Cat has his flaws, mainly his defense, but other than that, continues to dominate when he needs to. They're showing that they definitely messed up by giving up Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine, trading away for Jimmy Butler. Definitely not looking good for the future now. If it wasn't for the dominance of the Boston Celtics, the Los Angeles Lakers, Chicago Bulls, Golden State Warriors, and LeBron, a lot more NBA teams would have won at least one. Nowadays, your team has to have a three-headed monster to be contenders in today's NBA. Very few teams on this list I see making it off soon. Maybe the Denver Nuggets and the Toronto Raptors. Let me know who you think is going to be the first team on this list to win a championship. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smack that like button as it helps my channel grow. Hit that sub button and bell. And before I go, I would like to thank you guys for a wonderful 2018. The love and support from you guys as of late has been great. I've gained at least 400 more subs the last month, and I'm just gonna let you guys know that I'm gonna continue to keep grinding in 2019. If this whole Article 13 thing passes off, then it's lit, man. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot more fire videos coming out, so stay tuned. Hit that sub button and bell, and I'm gonna check you on my next video. Wait for it.